There is something in your daily routine right now, something you do without thinking, something you have probably done every single day for years, that is quietly, systematically, and relentlessly damaging your heart. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a way you can feel happening. But in the slow, invisible, cumulative way that eventually leads to the phone calls nobody wants to make, the hospital visits nobody saw coming, and the funerals where everyone stands around asking the same question: how did this happen to someone who seemed perfectly fine? I'm going to tell you exactly what it is today. And I want you to stay with me through every word of this video, because by the time we are done, you are going to understand your heart health in a way that most people never do until it is already too late. My name is William Hart, and before I tell you what this daily habit is, I want to make sure you understand something fundamental about how heart damage actually works. Because most people have a completely wrong picture of it in their heads. They imagine heart disease as something that announces itself, a sudden dramatic chest pain, a clear warning moment that gives them time to act. But the reality of how the heart deteriorates over time is nothing like that. It is gradual. It is silent. It is a process that unfolds over months and years, one small piece of damage at a time, until the accumulated burden finally reaches a tipping point. And the reason so many people reach that tipping point without ever seeing it coming is because the habits driving the damage feel completely harmless in the moment. They feel like nothing. They feel like just part of life. That is exactly what makes them so dangerous. The habit I am talking about today is one that hundreds of millions of people share. It crosses every age group, every income level, every background. It is something that is sold everywhere, in gas stations, grocery stores, coffee shops, vending machines, and restaurants on every corner. It is something that the food and beverage industry has spent billions of dollars making sure you associate with comfort, with energy, with reward, with getting through a hard day. I am talking about the daily consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages, sodas, energy drinks, sweetened coffees, fruit juices marketed as healthy, sports drinks, flavored waters with added sugars, the liquid sugar that millions of Americans consume every single day as casually as drinking water. And the research on what this habit does to your heart over time is some of the most alarming data in all of cardiovascular medicine. Let me walk you through the exact mechanism. Because once you understand how this works inside your body, you will never look at that can or that bottle the same way again. When you consume a sugar-sweetened beverage, a large amount of rapidly absorbed sugar enters your bloodstream in a very short period of time. Your pancreas responds by releasing insulin to manage that sugar spike. This happens every time. And when it happens repeatedly, day after day, year after year, several damaging processes are set in motion simultaneously. The first is the direct effect on your blood pressure. High sugar intake causes your kidneys to retain more sodium and water, increasing the volume of fluid in your bloodstream, and more fluid means more pressure against your artery walls. Study after study has confirmed that people who regularly consume sugary beverages have measurably higher blood pressure than those who do not, independent of other lifestyle factors. This means even if you exercise, even if you watch your salt intake, even if you do everything else right, the daily sugar drink is working against your cardiovascular system every single time you consume it. But the blood pressure effect is just the beginning. The repeated insulin spikes caused by daily sugar consumption gradually lead to a state called insulin resistance, where your body's cells stop responding efficiently to insulin. This forces your pancreas to produce even more insulin to do the same job. And chronically elevated insulin levels have a direct toxic effect on your arteries. They promote inflammation inside the blood vessel walls. They accelerate the process of atherosclerosis, the buildup of plaque inside your arteries that is the underlying cause of the vast majority of heart attacks. Inflammation is the silent fire burning inside your cardiovascular system, and sugar is one of the most powerful fuels feeding that fire every single day. When researchers look at the arteries of people who have consumed high amounts of added sugar over their lifetimes, they consistently find more inflammation, more plaque buildup, and more arterial stiffness compared to people with lower sugar consumption. And arterial stiffness is one of the most powerful predictors of cardiovascular events, heart attacks, strokes, heart failure, that we have in modern medicine. There is also a metabolic dimension to this that I want you to understand clearly. When your liver is repeatedly flooded with fructose, the specific type of sugar found in high fructose corn syrup used in most commercial sodas and sweetened beverages, it converts a significant portion of that fructose into fat. This fat accumulates in two places. First, inside the liver itself, contributing to fatty liver disease, which is increasingly recognized as a major cardiovascular risk factor. Second, as triglycerides, fat particles circulating in your bloodstream. Elevated triglycerides directly damage the walls of your arteries, accelerating plaque formation and increasing your risk of heart attack and stroke. And here is what makes this particularly alarming. You can have dangerously elevated triglycerides from regular sugary beverage consumption while looking completely normal on the outside, feeling completely fine, and having no idea that your cardiovascular risk is quietly climbing with every passing month. Now I want to address something that comes up every single time this topic is discussed, and that is the role of so-called healthy alternatives. Many people have switched from regular soda to fruit juice, believing they have made a cardiovascular-friendly choice. I want to be very direct with you about this. Commercial fruit juice, even the varieties labeled 100% juice with no added sugar, delivers a concentrated hit of fructose to your liver that is metabolically very similar to soda. When you eat a whole piece of fruit, the fiber in that fruit slows the absorption of the natural sugars dramatically, reducing the insulin spike and limiting how much fructose reaches your liver at once. When you drink juice, that fiber is gone. What remains is essentially liquid sugar, and your body processes it almost identically to the way it processes the sugar in a can of soda. This is one of the most important nutritional misunderstandings of our time, and it is one that the juice industry has invested enormously in maintaining. Energy drinks deserve their own specific discussion because the risk they carry goes beyond sugar alone. Most popular energy drinks combine high levels of sugar with large doses of caffeine and other stimulant compounds like taurine and guarana. This combination has been shown in research to cause acute spikes in both blood pressure and heart rate that are significantly more dramatic than either caffeine or sugar alone. There are documented cases of young, otherwise healthy individuals experiencing serious cardiac events, including heart arrhythmias and in rare cases cardiac arrest, following consumption of multiple energy drinks in a short period. For someone who already has elevated blood pressure or any underlying cardiovascular condition, regular energy drink consumption is not just a bad habit. It is a genuine medical risk that deserves to be treated with the same seriousness as any other cardiovascular risk factor. I also want to talk about the cumulative, long-term picture, because I think when people hear statistics about diet and heart disease, they often mentally file them away as distant, abstract concerns that apply to some future version of themselves. So let me make this as concrete as possible. Research published in major cardiovascular journals has found that people who consume one or more sugar-sweetened beverages per day have a significantly higher risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those who rarely or never consume them. Not a slightly higher risk. Significantly higher. And the risk increases with the amount consumed. Every additional daily serving adds another measurable layer to the cardiovascular burden. When you multiply 1 or 2 sugary drinks per day across 10, 20, or 30 years of habitual consumption, the accumulated damage to your blood vessels, your heart muscle, your metabolic health, and your cardiovascular risk profile is profound. This is not a theoretical concern. This is the reality playing out inside the bodies of millions of people right now who are going about their daily lives completely unaware. So what does all of this mean practically for you? It means that if there is one single dietary change you can make today that would have an immediate and measurable positive effect on your blood pressure and your long-term cardiovascular health, it is eliminating or dramatically reducing your consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages. Not cutting back slightly. eliminating them as a daily habit. Research has shown that people who stop consuming sugary drinks regularly see measurable improvements in blood pressure within weeks. Their triglyceride levels begin to drop. The chronic inflammation in their arteries begins to reduce. The metabolic burden on their liver decreases. The body has a remarkable capacity to begin recovering from dietary damage when the source of that damage is removed. But it requires actually removing it, not substituting one sugary drink for another, not switching to juice and calling it healthy, but genuinely replacing liquid sugar with water, unsweetened beverages, or drinks that do not trigger the insulin and inflammatory cascade I described earlier. There is one more layer to this conversation that I think is absolutely essential, and it is the psychological dimension of why this habit is so difficult to break even when people know it is harming them. The sugar and beverage industry did not accidentally create a product that billions of people reach for every single day out of habit. They engineered it. The combination of sugar, carbonation, caffeine, and flavor in products like soda creates a neurological response in your brain that is genuinely habit-forming. Sugar triggers dopamine release, the same reward chemical involved in other compulsive behaviors. The carbonation provides a physical sensation that becomes associated with refreshment and satisfaction. The caffeine creates a mild physical dependency that makes you reach for the product again the next day. This is not an accident. This is the result of decades of product engineering specifically designed to make you a daily consumer. Understanding this does not excuse the habit, but it does explain why simply knowing something is bad for you is often not enough to stop doing it. Your brain has been conditioned to seek this reward. Breaking that conditioning requires more than willpower. It requires replacing the habit with something else that delivers a degree of the same satisfaction, which is why gradually replacing sugary drinks with sparkling water, herbal teas, or other flavorful but unsweetened alternatives tends to be more successful than simply trying to stop cold. I also want to specifically address parents who are watching this, because the habits formed in childhood and adolescence around beverage consumption have consequences that extend decades into the future. Children who grow up drinking sodas and sugary drinks daily are not just consuming empty calories. They are establishing metabolic patterns, insulin response patterns, and taste preferences that make them significantly more likely to continue those habits as adults. They are beginning the slow process of arterial damage and cardiovascular risk accumulation at an age when the heart should be at its most resilient and protected. If you have children in your home who regularly consume sugary drinks, the most protective cardiovascular gift you can give them is changing those habits now, before those patterns become deeply ingrained and before the cumulative damage has years to compound. Finally, I want to address the people watching this who are already dealing with high blood pressure and feel like the damage is done, that it is too late to make a meaningful difference. I want to be very clear with you about something. It is not too late. The research consistently shows that reducing sugar-sweetened beverage consumption produces measurable cardiovascular benefits even in people who have already developed hypertension, elevated triglycerides, or early signs of metabolic dysfunction. The body is not a static system that locks in damage permanently. It is a dynamic, responsive system that continues to repair and adapt when the conditions that cause the damage are changed. Every week that you eliminate daily liquid sugar from your life is a week that your arteries experience less inflammation, your blood pressure operates under less stress, and your cardiovascular system has more opportunity to stabilize and recover. The starting point does not matter as much as the direction you choose to move from here. And the direction you choose today, right now after watching this video, has consequences that will echo through every year of your future health. If this video gave you information that changes how you think about your daily habits, please hit the like button and subscribe to William Hart Health, because every single week I am here with the honest, research-backed information about blood pressure and heart health that could genuinely add years to your life.